Welcome to the Practically Speaking podcast from Independent Advisor Solutions by SEI. In this podcast, we help advisors find solutions and share best practices for practice management, technology, social media, improving the client experience, and working with millennials. Our team share insights, experiences, and tools learned working with advisory firms across the country. Join us on this journey as we uncover the best practices to provide financial advisors with solutions to help advisors grow, differentiate, and create efficiencies in their businesses.
Hello and welcome to another Practically Speaking podcast. We're going to have a whole bunch of fun over the next few podcasts. We're going to get to know everybody who's on the team at the Independent Advisor Solutions Department at SEI. Today, we're going to talk to Brian Briggs, who is the head of Next Gen. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt. How you doing? Thank you.
I am doing great, and I don't know your answers to any of these questions, so it's going to be super fun for me to have the opportunity to get to know you a little bit more. Question number one, what do you do for the company?
So my role within the company in typical SEI fashion is multifaceted. My primary role within Practically Speaking is as head of Next Gen to provide millennial insight into the industry, how to grow practices from a millennial point of view. My day-to-day function is I'm a senior investment analyst on the team, so I work with independent financial advisors to help them grow their business, provide investment insight on product, economic outlook, many things in terms of how to position the SEI solution. I'm also a member of our diversity board. I'm a board member of that to help increase awareness of diversity and inclusion within the company. And my most recent role is I'm now also a trust investment officer and helping our advisors grow the discretionary trust business.
Lots of hats. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. I got a big head.
Well, there you go. Well, we're going to dive into that head just a little bit more on this podcast. Why did they hire you? I mean, so what was so attractive to bring Brian Briggs on board and do all of these things that you're doing for SEI?
So it's a great story. My predecessor, Missy Polig, who still has a very cult following, practically speaking, we worked together for a number of years. And actually, Missy Polig, through the internship program, I was her coach during that process. So this was 6-7 years ago when Missy was still an intern. And we began to work together over the years and build a relationship. And upon her exit and becoming a financial advisor herself, she approached me. So, in my first blog post, who is Brian Briggs, the mentee became the mentor and saying, I think you'd be a great fit for this. I think it'd be a good career opportunity for you independently in addition to SEI as a whole. And she was the one who recommended me, coached me up, and got me to a point to be confident and to replace her. So that's how that came to be. It was actually Missy Polig who asked me to do this role.
Wow. What is your passion when it comes to your job?
I love seeing advisors grow and not just AUM. I love seeing advisors get to a point, whether we're talking about investments, whether we're talking about the millennial base, growing their practice and being better than they were a month ago, a quarter ago, a year ago. Helping them understand the SEI process, helping them understand the SEI way of thinking, the way that we do things, just getting them from point A to Z, not just focusing on A to B. Point A to Z, I think, is the best part of what I do and what we do as a firm because it shows growth. We're focused on growth in multiple ways, and that's my passion. That's why I'm still here. This is my 15th year coming up with SEI, so I still feel like I'm young in the game, but I feel like I've gotten to a point where I can provide that insight to say, I want to help you get from A to Z, and here are the reasons why you should do that.
The rest of the podcast that we're going to have you on, it's going to dive a little bit more into what you do professionally. So I'd like to switch gears, if you don't mind, and learn a little bit more about Brian personally. When you're not working, what do you do for fun?
Well, two things. Number one, I've got a 3-year-old, so I'm trying to get a little bit of sleep here and there and spend as much time with her. She's my passion. She's my heart. She's my purpose. I spend a lot of time with my family. I'm a big family guy, so my brothers are my best friends. We spend a lot of time doing just things that brothers do. We raise our kids together. We play basketball together. We work out together. I spend a lot of time with my family. That's my passion. That's about who I am.
Who is your hero?
Coming back to family. My hero is my grandmother. She's 94 years old. She raised me from the time I was 12 on. She owned that process of developing and breeding and molding a young man who was trying to find his way. So my grandmother is my hero. She's my champion. She's my biggest advocate. I owe her a lot of my personal and professional success. So, Grandma, I know you're not listening, but you are my hero, and you're my favorite person.
We're going to have to make sure we share this with your grandmother.
Yeah.
If you had all of the money in the world, what would you do?
Well, I'd buy my Bentley. I can't say that I'm not without fault and I like material things. So I'd probably buy a Bentley Azure 2002. That was the classic version.
Well, that was specific.
That'd be my first thing. Second thing would probably be making sure that my family was well taken care of as much as I could, and then I'd probably have some philanthropic destinations for. I'd give a lot back to my school. I'd give a lot back to my church, and I'd probably do some things in the community that allowed me to go under the radar in terms of who gifted it, but try to make a big impact in the community.
Who is your favorite person in history and why?
It's a combination. So I would say this. Mahatma Gandhi, I think, empowered a lot of vision, in terms of obviously, opposing hate, looking forward, being nonviolent. But I think the next evolution of that in the combination, when I say two people, is Martin Luther King. When I got hired, I had a coworker of mine tell me that Martin Luther King gave the "I Am a Dream" speech at age 38. TikTok. And that's been my benchmark. I'm 36 years old, and I don't think that I will make that kind of impact in 2 years. But the idea that you can look and find greatness in everyone. Maybe I'm an optimist, but I do believe that if you find the good, you can get to a point of common ground. And Mahatma Gandhi, in addition to Martin Luther King, those two embody that thought process. And again, 38 years old and changed the nation, right? My daughter, who's 3, will hear that speech at some point. So to have that kind of impact on people, the world, and multiple generations, I don't know how that can't be in everyone's top 5 in terms of favorite people. But to answer your question, Matt, those are my two favorite people, most influential people in my life.
What is your idea of success and how do you define it?
For me, it's day to day. When I walk in the door every single day, without hesitation, I ask my daughter, "How was your day?" And she says, "Good." Every single day. She could be crying. She could have snot come out her nose. She could be upset at the world. But her mindset is every day was good because that's the way she feels things. So for me to walk in the door and experience that, no matter how good or bad my day was, that's the pinnacle for me. And I know that sounds cheesy. I know that sounds like that's what a dad should say, but that's how I feel. If every day I can walk in and my family be in a good spot, that's a success for me.
What is the one thing you recommend most to clients, families, or friends? So this can be a book, it can be a TED Talk, it can be anything along those lines.
If you're looking for inspiration, I'm not paid to say this, but check out Eric Thomas. If you ever need a pick-me-up, Eric Thomas, YouTube him. He is a master motivational speaker. Again, I think in my life holistically, right? So whether I'm dealing with a client, whether I'm dealing with a friend, a family member, I'm a glass half full guy. So some would say that I'm too much of an optimist, but I say this, that if you can find the positivity and you can see the end game in pretty much anything that you do, you can find motivation in that. You can find success in failure. You can find success in winning $1 million and everything in between. So I'm a big believer in that if you can find the end game in what you're doing, you're focused on that. If you're looking to build your practice, what's the end game? What are you looking to do? What's the culture of your firm? Who are you looking to attract, right? You think about the end game. Not that the end be what's over. You think about the end being, what are my goals? And once you reach those goals, you set new goals. You set new plateaus. So for me, it's positivity, right? So Eric Thomas is a big believer in looking at yourself. He's got a great quote. You need to put yourself in punishment. And what he means by that is you can look at a lot of different things in life and say, this didn't happen, but what did you do to get to that point? What did you do to make things happen and or not happen? So that's a loaded question, Matt. But I do believe that, hey, look, not paid to say it, but Eric Thomas is really big on providing good motivational speeches. I listen to him before I work out sometime.
Name one thing that most people don't know about you.
I don't like mac and cheese. I grew up in Asheville, North Carolina. So when people hear that I don't like mac and cheese, like, how can you be from the South and not like mac and cheese? It's just not my thing.
I am dumbfounded at that statement right there.
Welcome to the club. Yep.
What is your mantra, motto, or something you say to yourself to keep yourself focused and on track?
Stay woke. And what I mean by that is if you've seen the movie Get Out, you know what that reference means. But just stay woke. And to me, Matt, that means be aware of who you are and do a lot of self-reflecting. And in financial advisory business, we can get caught up in what the markets are doing. We can get caught up in political statements. We can get caught up in regulatory headwinds. Stay woke. What is your passion? What is your purpose? Every day that you get up and walk into your office, your primary function is to help your clients be in a better spot. And to me, it's filtering out the noise, whatever the noise may be to you in your world, but filtering out the noise and making sure that you're quote unquote woke, right? Staying woke and focusing on your sole purpose. Your sole purpose is to help your clients be in a better spot, right? Tomorrow, 10 years from now, retirement, school, whatever that may be. Focus on your goals, stay woke.
Brian, you've been on this planet for a good amount of time so far. When you look at your life, what is your proudest achievement?
You've heard me talk about it a couple times now, Matt, but it's my daughter. And the reason why I say that is she embodies everything that's perfect about everyone that I know. She absorbs so much. She's such a giving, loving, consistent, frustrating person at times, but she's everything that I'm not. And I love her for making me a better person, for showing me that life is about more than just things. Life is about giving back to others. Life is about helping a person be who they need to be. Not who I want them to be, but who they need to be. Again, I translate that back into the advisory business that, clients have different goals and the goals aren't always what we may assume they should be, right? So how are we helping them get to where they need to be? So when I think about my daughter, she's the most influential person to me. She helps me understand where she needs to be every single day. So that's huge for me. And again, I thank her for that.
Brian, thank you very much for letting me kind of check under the hood a little bit and have our audience get to know who Brian Briggs is a little bit more.
Sure. No problem, Matt. Thanks for having me.
So we just had an opportunity to learn a little bit more of the head of Next Gen at the Independent Advisor Solution by SEI, Brian Briggs. If you have not checked out the Practically Speaking blog, make sure that you check out his blog. And make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, it's super duper easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe now button below. And every time anybody at the team in Practically Speaking comes up with a new blog, a new post, or a new podcast, to show up directly on your listening device. So for everybody at the Independent Advisor Solutions Group, this is Matt Hallard, and we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.
Thank you for listening to the Practically Speaking podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. Information provided by Independent Advisor Solutions by SEI, a strategic business unit of SEI Investments Company. The information covered and posted represents the current views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Independent Advisor Solutions, SEI. Guests are not affiliated with SEI or its subsidiaries. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.